Heartwarming blind date revelation. Humble mechanic discovers incredible connection with CEO's princess. Lucas was a simple guy, a 28-year-old mechanic, with grease under his nails and a heart as big as his old dad's garage. He was used to the sound of engines revving and the smell of motor oil, all in a spirited suburban town where everyone seemed to know each other's names. Life revolved around the garage, inherited from his late father, and he fought hard every day to keep their legacy alive. The echoes of laughter from his younger sister, Emma, kept him going. He was her hero, her steadfast partner in life's roller coaster. Every struggle they faced seemed worth it because Lucas was resolved to make the best of their dreams. But as the bills piled higher, uncertainty loomed over their heads. His best friend, Jake, had finally convinced him to give online dating a shot, saying, "You deserve happiness, buddy. Just try a date." And so, with a heart full of trepidation and hope, Lucas found himself sitting across from Sarah. She was a dynamo, a successful CEO, radiating poise and confidence, with a smile that lit up the local diner. Their eyes locked, and the world faded. After sharing burgers and milkshakes, side-splitting laughter filled the air, dancing between them like fireflies on a warm summer night. They were two souls exchanging dreams, and shared values brought them closer. "I love volunteering at the local shelter," she beamed, and his heart raced. He liked helping people too. There it was, a connection that felt genuine, electric. Yet, as the night deepened and the laughter faded, reality lurked. In the following days, Sarah's subtle changes in demeanor pierced Lucas' heart. Awkward silences crept in, and the butterflies in his stomach turned to knots. He sensed the heavy expectations weighing on her. The world of high society was a cage, gilded but constraining. He felt their worlds colliding in narrow pinches, like fragile glass about to shatter. But Lucas wasn't one to back down. He chose to stand up to the judgment that swirled around them. "You deserve to be happy, Sarah. Don't let your parents dictate who you should love," he encouraged, his own heartbeat thumping against his chest as they had their heart-to-heart in the shadowy corner booth. Would she see the integrity in his words? "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As days turned into weeks, Lucas watched Sarah grow a fire inside her. She challenged her family's constraints, declaring, "I'll choose my life." He marveled at her spirit, feeling pride in her newfound courage. They made plans, envisioning a community center from his garage, a haven for those like him, a place of acceptance. But just as hope glimmered, an unexpected storm brewed. Sarah's parents issued an ultimatum, a threat that could crush their love. The heartbreak was palpable. Lucas' heart raced, uncertainty flooding his mind. Would they crumble under the weight of judgment, or find the strength to fight for each other? Despite the chaos, they clung to the remnants of their love, desperate to bridge the divide. As stifling tension saturated the air, one thing remained clear: love wanted to transcend, but could it withstand the judgment of a world built on class divisions? The days turned into a blur of anxious moments. Lucas found himself at the garage less and less, spending more time with Sarah, but it had begun to feel like walking a tightrope. Every conversation with her held a weight heavier than the engines he worked on daily. He could see the tension in her eyes, the worry etched across her forehead. Her world was clenched tightly around her, and he could feel the invisible strings from her parents pulling her back. One breezy afternoon, they took refuge in the park, where the bright colors of blooming flowers stood in stark contrast to the heaviness settling in their hearts. Sarah perched on the edge of a bench, twirling a daisy between her fingers, a small semblance of a smile gracing her lips. "Lucas, I keep thinking about what you said, about choosing my own life." Her voice shimmered with hope, but it was laced with doubt. The park was alive with laughter and distant music, yet their bubble felt so fragile. He wanted to reach out and wrap her in the warmth of his hand, to assure her that everything would be okay, yet uncertainty nipped at his heels. "I meant it, you know," Lucas replied quietly, searching her gaze for any sense of the resolve he'd seen bloom within her. "You have the power to decide your path. It's your life, Sarah." She paused, her eyes glistening. "But it's not that simple, is it? My parents, they've always expected me to follow their footsteps. To marry into their world. They won't accept us." Frustration bubbled up within him. Why was love always tangled in other people's agendas? "And what about what you want? Don't let them strip away what makes you happy," he urged, his voice steady, determined. Suddenly, the daisy was ripped from her grasp, floating away on the wind. It felt significant, a representation of their fragile dreams spiraling out of control. "See?" Sarah exclaimed, her voice bursting with emotion. "Even the little things can slip away. What if I'm choosing the wrong thing? What if I lose everything?" Lucas moved closer, their shoulders brushing against one another. "You have to risk for something worth it. It means a lot to me. But I won't force you to choose between your family and me." Her breath hitched, and Lucas could sense her internal battle. The world felt like it was crashing around them, and yet, in that park, with the sun kissing their skin, hope flickered stubbornly. "I feel trapped, Lucas," she finally confessed, tears glimmering in her eyes. "I want to break free, but I'm scared. Scared of losing my family, scared of losing you." His heart clenched at the vulnerability in her voice. "You won't lose me, I promise. Whatever you decide, I'm here for you." But as their conversation lingered in the possibility of a future filled with love, just as Sarah opened her mouth to respond, her phone buzzed sharply in her pocket. The message on the screen sent the blood draining from her face, unraveling the moment they had woven together. It was her mother, and every line felt like a chokehold tightening around her. Lucas felt a pit of anxiety well up inside him. What did it say? What would it push her to do? As Sarah read, her expression grew distant, clouding over with the heavy weight of expectation again. "Sarah?" he urged, "what does it say?" She clenched her fists tightly, shaking with tension. "It's about dinner tonight," she whispered. "They want to discuss my future." His breath caught. Would she end up at that dinner wrestling with her own heart, or would she courageously face her fears? Lucas knew then, their love was destined to be a battlefield of decisions, and they were staring down the valley of uncertainty together. Would she rise against the tide, or would the pull of her family's expectations drown everything they felt? The night loomed heavy before them, one dinner that could change everything. The sun dipped low, casting golden rays across the park as Lucas watched Sarah process the text in silence. Her fingers trembled as they clutched the phone, and he felt every second stretch like a taut wire ready to snap. "Sarah, you don't have to go," he said gently, though anguish danced in his heart. "We can find another way." But she shook her head, determination clashing with fear in her eyes. "I can't just ignore them. They'll flip out. You know how my mom is, she'll make it a scene. Let them scream. Let them throw a fit," Lucas replied, his frustration rising. "Why should you bear that weight for a life you didn't choose?" Her expression softened slightly, but she turned her gaze to the ground, where the daisy had landed, a small casualty of their struggle. I don't know if I can face them. What if they're right? What if I'm making a huge mistake? You'll never know unless you try," he encouraged, his voice steady. "You owe it to yourself to find out what makes you happy." She swallowed hard, searching his face for reassurance. It was as if he could see the gears turning in her mind. Lucas longed to pull her into a hug, to share strength in the midst of her dismantling fears. The laughter of children around them felt distant, a world away from the storm brewing in their hearts. The breeze picked up, rustling the leaves, and Sarah finally stood, resolute yet shaken. "Okay, here's the plan. I'll go to dinner. I'll listen to what they have to say, but I'm going to speak my truth. I won't let them decide for me anymore. Relief washed over Lucas, but dread still coiled tightly in his stomach. You're so brave, Sarah. But remember, whatever happens tonight, I'll be here waiting. You're not alone. As they walked to the parking lot, the clouds began to gather, hinting at an approaching storm. Lucas wouldn't allow himself to dwell on hypotheticals, he just needed to focus on the strength that surged from within Sarah. He drove her home, the silence thick as they both wrestled with their thoughts. What if it doesn't go the way you want? He asked finally, glancing at her, nerves coiling around each word. What if it does? She countered, glancing out the window at the fading light. I can't be afraid of what happens. Maybe they'll surprise me. Her voice was steeped in hope, a flicker of light amid the gloom, but doubt still hung in the air. When they reached her driveway, she paused, turning to face him. Thanks for believing in me, Lucas. You make it easier to believe in myself. He smiled, but the weight of the night loomed heavy on them. You can do this. And if it gets rough, just remember what we talked about. As she climbed out of the car, he felt the distance between them grow. The door closed softly, but behind her mask of confidence, Lucas could sense her uncertainty. He watched her walk toward the house, wishing he could shield her from the inevitable clash that awaited. But when she turned around, catching him with her eyes, there was a spark. I'll text you after, she said, voice light but with a quiver. He nodded, though the last vestiges of sunlight faded behind the horizon, casting shadows across the yard as she disappeared inside. He clenched the steering wheel, anxiety spiraling in his chest. Dinner discussions could be daunting, but this was about more than just a meal, it was about her future. An hour ticked by slowly, the quiet stillness of the evening wrapping around him. The restlessness finally had him leaping from the car and pacing like a caged animal. His phone buzzed suddenly, jolting him. Are you ready? The text read. He looked up, heart racing. Would she be brave enough to stand up for herself? Would she make the leap into the unknown? Lucas could hardly breathe as he waited for Sarah's response to come through. The tension hung thick in the air, the night was far from over, and the real battle was yet to begin. Lucas stared at his phone, willing it to vibrate again, to break the silence that weighed on his nerves. Each passing minute felt like an eternity. He could almost hear the conversations she was walking into, the nervous laughter, the probing questions, the potential for hurt. Yet, deep down, he believed in her. He slipped back into the car, hands gripping the wheel tightly. The streetlights flickered on, illuminating his thoughts, but the deeper shadows lingered. This was a moment that could change everything for Sarah, even if it felt like a war for her. He remembered the daisy she had picked earlier, the representation of hope and resilience, and it sparked something inside him. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. A surge of adrenaline raced through him. He snatched it up and read the single line, "They're here. Wish me luck." His heart sank for her, but he quickly typed back, "You've got this. Just be yourself." He could feel her determination, but also the fear clinging to her like a faint shadow. As the minutes stretched, he imagined her at the dining table, biting her lip, fingers drumming nervously against the wood, heart pounding as each moment passed. What kind of things would they say? Would they listen? He felt powerless. He wished he could be there, stand beside her as she faced the storm. Just the thought of her walking into that house, the potential clash of wills made his stomach churn. But he couldn't face her family for her, this was her battle. As he sat there, darkness enveloping him, he noticed the rain. It started off soft, the rhythm tapping against his car was like a gentle reminder that even storms can pass. Maybe this is just part of the process, he thought. The storms often cleanse the space for new beginnings. Looking up at the sky, he took a deep breath, hoping to grab a hold of that moment. The wind carried the scent of damp earth, a promise of something blooming. Moments like this felt sacred, as if nature herself was rooting for Sarah, just as he was. His phone buzzed again, and this time, he barely let it linger before he opened the message. It's starting. I'm nervous. His heart thudded loudly against his chest. Just breathe. You're stronger than you know, he typed back, then paused, letting his fingers hover over the screen. He wrote again, trust yourself. You deserve to be heard. He waited, feeling the echo of her uncertainty resonate within him. No answer came, and he fought the urge to call her. What she needed at that moment wasn't his voice, it was her own. Only she could navigate the path ahead. As the rain began to fall harder, transforming the world outside into a blur of sound and flashes, a part of him felt like he was caught in that storm too. He wanted her to emerge out of it, but what if she didn't? Then, his heart skipped as a new message flashed on the screen. I told them how I feel. They didn't take it well. His stomach dropped. Tension twisted his insides painfully. Lucas could feel the storm brewing inside him, too: disappointment, anger, fear. What happened? He texted back urgently, worry clawing through him. Another pause. And just as he was about to lose himself in anxiety, the response came, it's harder than I thought, but I didn't back down. Pride surged through him, replacing fear with hope. She was fighting back, standing her ground. That's amazing, Sarah, he replied quickly, his heart swelling. You're incredible for standing up for yourself. No matter what they say, you did it. He waited. The rain beat against the earth, the world outside felt like an echo of her battle, and in that moment, a thought flickered in his mind. What would happen next? Would this ignite something inside her? Would she find the courage to break free? The door to the battle she fought now swung open, both in her home and within her. I don't know what's next, Lucas. Whatever comes, remember you're not alone. I'm here, he typed back, heart racing, stronger than ever, just as she needed. Sudden silence fell around him again, the kind that comes after the storm. She would need time. But Lucas knew he had to stay awake to things waiting on the other side of fear. And think, what would she do after this? His phone buzzed one last time, leaving a trail of an unknown. I guess I'll find out soon. The question hung in the air, beautiful yet terrifying. What would happen next? As he prepared for the unknown journey ahead, he felt an unyielding tension in the pit of his stomach. Would Sarah's courage push through the storm they faced? The rain fell harder now, almost as if the heavens were mirroring Lucas's tumultuous emotions. He leaned back against the seat and closed his eyes, trying to gather his thoughts. What if this was the moment that changed everything for Sarah? He could feel her vulnerability in every word, and the image of her sitting at that table, pouring her heart out, weighed heavily on him. Minutes ticked by. Lucas opened his eyes to the brightness of his phone. Another message from Sarah blinked on the screen, pulling him from his troubled thoughts. They shouted. It was so intense. His breath hitched. Shouted? Oh Sarah, he typed, his fingers trembling. Are you okay? The response came after what felt like an eternity. I think so. I stood my ground. They don't understand me. Lucas could picture her, head held high, despite the emotional storm swirling around her. Even when faced with anger and disbelief, she had stood strong. That's brave, Sarah. You deserve to be understood for who you are, he replied, pride swelling in his chest. He watched as the little dots danced across the screen, a clear sign she was typing. His heart raced, anticipating her next words. I want to retreat, Lucas. Just hide away from it all. But I can't, can I? I finally found my voice. You can't hide. You fought so hard to be heard. Just take a minute and breathe, he urged, hoping she felt the embrace of his words, urging her to keep pressing on. She took some time to respond. Each passing moment made him more anxious. Eventually, the message came. They said if I continue this path, I might lose them. The weight of her words dropped like a stone. He scrolled through her message, trying to find the right thing to say. But losing them would mean gaining yourself, the real you. You can't trade that for anyone else's approval. You matter more than they think. The silence that followed felt deafening. It was like empty space drifting between them, stretching their connection thin. Lucas could feel Sarah wrestling with her fears, battling the ghosts of her family's expectations. He knew how tethering those expectations could be. They wrapped around her like a tight noose, and it was in moments like these that she needed to see. Sometimes, love means standing up for yourself. You deserve to be brave. I believe in you, he finally sent. A moment later, the phone chimed. I'm scared. But I want to try, Lucas. I want to feel free. His heart soared. There was strength buried beneath her fear. Then let us explore that freedom together, he responded, feeling every word carry their weight. But what if the battle wasn't over? What if her family refused to bend? He couldn't shake the nagging voice of doubt whispering in his ear. A picture of a daisy flashed in his mind, delicate, yet resilient. He should remind her of that strength. You remind me of that daisy you picked earlier. Beautiful but strong. Always pushing through, no matter the storm. A reply popped up instantly. If I'm the daisy, then you're the sun that helps me bloom. Emotions welled up in Lucas, warmth wrapping around him. And a daisy is always better together with the sun. As silence wrapped around them once more, Lucas's mind raced with possibilities. Would Sarah continue to fight? Would she feel the courage to pursue her truth, even when faced with resistance? What was waiting on the other side of struggle? The rain let up, a soft pitter-patter quickly fading into an echo of hope. Then she texted again, I need to go back. In a lump formed in his throat. His heart ached for her. He knew whatever happened next would shape the path ahead. Would she step back into that storm? Or would she emerge from it changed, stronger, more herself than ever? Just remember you're never alone, Sarah, he typed, hoping his strength would carry through the phone to her heart. And then, as the weight of the moment settled, he couldn't shake the feeling that in this storm, everything was about to change. He held his breath, waiting for what she would say next. Sarah took a deep breath as she stood outside the heavy doors of her home, the noise of the rain still echoing in her ears. The world inside felt so much bigger than she remembered, the shouting still ringing, the disapproval hanging in the air like a storm cloud. She expressed her truth, her dreams, but the struggle remained tangible, the weight of family expectations pressing on her shoulders. For a moment, she envisioned Lucas's words. You're never alone. His encouragement wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Taking a small step forward, she pushed through the door and into the kitchen, where her family waited. The stark brightness of the overhead lights contrasted sharply with the stormy gray outside. Where have you been? Her mother's words were sharp. I was thinking, Sarah replied, her voice quieter than she intended. We don't want you to throw away your future, her father interjected, leaning forward with furrowed brows. This journey of self-discovery, what does it lead to? You're going to ruin everything we've worked for. The lump in her throat tightened. But what if I don't want that future? What if I want something different? She felt the words bursting out, a floodgate opened. That's just naive, Sarah, her brother chimed in, shaking his head. You can't just follow your heart. You need a plan, security, something solid. Security? Her heart raced, the adrenaline pumping through her veins. And what about my happiness? Sudden silence swept through the room, every voice seemed caught in their throats. She could see shock on their faces, and beneath it, a hint of fear. How could they misunderstand her so completely? Just then, a soft rain softly tapped against the window, echoing her internal conflict. She could sense the turmoil, felt Lucas's support as if it was a warm glow at her back. Sarah, her mother began, softer this time. You're not making sense. You don't get how much we've sacrificed for you. But I'm making sense to myself, she insisted. And maybe, it's time for you to see me too. Really see me. Not just the version you want. I'll lose you, her mother whispered, the emotion cracking her voice. A twinge of pain shot through Sarah. It wasn't just about her mother's fear, it was deeper than that. Maybe losing the version you've created is what I need to find myself. The debate hung in the air, thick and tense. Each family member wore a mask of disbelief, but she also saw something else: vulnerability hiding behind their determination. Could they understand? Could she make them listen? Lucas believes in me, she added, hoping they would grasp the significance of that name. He's the one who reminded me that I'm worth fighting for, even if that fight is against you. The room shifted slightly as her father's eyes softened, and her mother's expression faltered. For the first time, maybe they were actually hearing her, really listening. What did he say? Her mother asked cautiously, nearly whispering. Feeling emboldened, Sarah took a small step. He said love means sometimes standing up for yourself. I want to feel free. The words spilled out, each one filled with longing and hope. Another silence lingered. Then, her father's deep sigh broke the quiet. Maybe we're the ones who need to change. Sarah's heart raced. Was any of this truly sinking in? Would they finally see her not the daughter they molded, but the woman she wanted to become? The rain started up again, a steady drumming that felt like a heartbeat, echoing the uncertainty in the room. Just when she thought the tension might settle, a familiar ping pulled her eyes back to her phone. It was a message from Lucas: I'm here. Just let me know when. Something inside her shifted. A feeling of solidarity washed over her, promising that whatever came next, she wouldn't face it alone. But just as she was about to respond, her brother spoke again. Are you really willing to give all that up, Sarah? She hesitated. Could she be brave enough? Ever since I've started to break free, I can't turn back. If you love me, you'll find a way to understand. As her family exchanged anxious glances, the horizon began to brighten a little, possibility swirling like the last drops of rain. What would their answer be? The silence felt electric, a crackling connection lingering over the family, a moment hanging in wait for a response that could swing the door wide open or slam it shut. But deep inside, she knew, standing here, she had already begun to redefine her story. What would she discover next in this newfound freedom? Sarah held her breath, waiting for the words that could change everything. Her brother's question hung in the air, heavy like the rain outside. Each second felt stretched, reality tilting back and forth like the storm outside. Would they contest her declaration, or would they finally embrace the truth of who she was? Her father straightened, his hands balling into fists on the table. This isn't just about you. It affects all of us, he said, voice shaking with the weight of his fear. And what if it's supposed to? What if my choices are a reflection of you? Sarah replied, her voice gaining strength. I'm not trying to hurt you. I just want to be real. Her mother looked down, her fingers nervously twisting a napkin. What if we don't like the real you? The words came out almost inaudibly, but they felt like a dagger. Then help me find her. Sarah cried, emotion spilling over her once more. If I'm lost, why not explore it together? Why not try to understand? For a moment, the air was thick with tension. Even the rain seemed to listen, tapering off into a near silence outside. Sarah could feel her heart pounding in her chest, a reminder of every ounce of courage it took just to be here, just to stand her ground. She was done hiding behind the expectations, the perfect image they all had been clinging to. Lucas's words flashed to the forefront of her mind again. She wasn't alone. Her brother looked as if he were wrestling with his own thoughts. You really think they can understand? You think they want to? Yes, Sarah said, her voice growing firm. People want to connect. It's just that we sometimes forget how. It's not just about safety or status. It's about being seen, truly seen. Her father's gaze softened by a fraction. What if I told you we've always seen you? What if the vision we had was flawed? It was a crack, a tiny ripple of hope that spread through Sarah. Then help me change it, she urged, desperation creeping into her voice. But we have to start listening to each other, really listening. Can't we find a way to be us together? For the first time, she felt the soft undercurrent of their stony expressions shifting. They were still clouded by fear and expectation, but maybe there was room for something more. I don't want to fight you, Sarah whispered, the words tumbling from her lips. I want to love you. But I can't do it if I'm not true to myself. The room remained still as everybody absorbed her words. Maybe we can start with dinner tonight. Her mother finally suggested, the hesitation evident in her voice. Just the three of us. We can really talk. And if you want, we can include Lucas. I think it's time we met him. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Could they really be willing to meet him? To extend an olive branch in the pursuit of understanding? Would you really do that for me? She asked, adrenaline rushing through her veins. Her mother glanced at her father, who nodded slowly. If it matters to you, it matters to us, he admitted, his tone softening. The air lifted just slightly, like a rain-drenched sky beginning to part. Thank you, Sarah breathed, tears prickling the corners of her eyes, warmth washing over her like sunlight after a storm. But beneath that joy, a new realization dawned. This was just the beginning. They had a long road ahead. What if the meeting with Lucas didn't go as planned? What if her family pushed back again? Can I tell him tonight? She blurted out, urgency painting her words. Can I tell him about this? Everyone exchanged glances, the tension relapsing into something new. Possibility hung between them, like a new dawn emerging from the clouds. Would they have the courage to journey into this uncharted territory together? As her heart raced with a mix of hope and trepidation, Sarah knew this chapter was just opening. And she was eager, ready to write what came next, but would Lucas be prepared for a conversation that could change everything? The hours crawled by, each minute stretching and twisting like the damp air outside. Sarah cleaned her room, fidgeting with every small detail. The walls felt closer, the air thicker. Every sound amplified, birds chirping, raindrops hitting the window, her mother's footsteps echoing through the house. Dinner was just around the corner, and she couldn't shake the sweet yet terrifying anticipation. In the kitchen, her mother moved with purpose, chopping vegetables while exchanging glances with Sarah. There was a newfound determination on her face, one that Sarah longed to anchor onto. It's a simple meal, she said, almost restrained, but I think we can make it special. Just gotta keep the conversation flowing. Sarah's heart fluttered. What if it doesn't go well? The thought slipped out before she could hold back. Her mother stopped, wiping her hands on her apron. It might not, she said, her brows furrowing. But we owe it to each other to at least try. A bond was forming, piece by piece, and as the scent of garlic filled the air, it was as if hope was simmering, too. Sarah breathed deep, reminding herself of Lucas, the warmth in his smile when he spoke about his dreams, the way he listened as if her words mattered. Once dinner was set, Sarah paced, the minutes ticking cruelly slowly. She shot her mother a questioning look when the clock hit 7. Do you think he'll be okay with this? Her mother nodded, her own anxiety hidden behind a reassuring smile. This is new for all of us. But that's the whole point. It's time for us to embrace the awkward. The doorbell rang, sending shockwaves of electricity up Sarah's spine. Lucas. She shot a final glance at her family before she opened the door. Hey. His voice was like a wave crashing over her. The sight of him brought a rush of warmth, soothing the knots of tension within her. You look amazing. Thanks. So do you, she replied, feeling a blush creeping up her cheeks. They shared a fleeting, giddy smile that seemed to make the air sparkle. As they settled around the table, the atmosphere was thick with possibility. Sarah exchanged cautious glances with her brother, who seemed unsure how to navigate this new landscape. But she felt braver with Lucas next to her, grounding her, reminding her of everything they had worked toward. "Okay, everyone, thanks for coming," her mother finally broke the silence, her voice wobbly but firm. "This is a big step for Sarah and for us, and we want to get to know Lucas, if you're ready for that." Sarah watched her brother assess the situation, noting the tension in his jaw. "So, what do you do, Lucas?" he asked, an edge of challenge lacing his tone. "I'm a mechanic," Lucas began, his hands clasping his knees. "I love working with my hands. It's kind of like therapy for me." "Oh. A mechanic?" Her father raised an eyebrow, the challenges lingering in his eyes, mixing curiosity with skepticism. "Yes, I've always been passionate about cars. Sometimes it feels like they speak a language only I understand," Lucas replied earnestly. Sarah exchanged glances with him, a shared moment of understanding. As he spoke about his passion, the atmosphere began to shift. Stories flowed, laughter echoed, creating the first cracks of connection. Yet, amid the light moments, tension circled, waiting for an opening. Sarah took a deep breath, her heart pounding as she realized this was her moment to take the leap. "I've been waiting to share something important," she said, feeling every gaze lock onto her, holding a mixture of fear and anticipation. "What is it?" Lucas asked, concern flickering in his eyes. Her heart raced. "I want you all to know who I really am," but before she could finish, the conversation teetered on the edge, loaded, electric. A single question loomed, a question that could reveal everything they had been both longing and dreading to hear. How would they respond? Would they embrace the heart of it all, or would fear draw them back into silence? The dining room seemed to hold its breath, just like Sarah. Would truth bring them closer, or pull them apart? Sarah felt the weight of all their eyes upon her, the air thick with anticipation. Her heartbeat quickened, pounding loudly in her ears. She could almost hear it echoing against the walls. She had rehearsed this moment countless times in her mind, the words scripted perfectly, but now they felt trapped somewhere deep inside, tangled in nerves. "Who I really am," she started again, but the words stumbled. She could see her brother's face, it flickered with a mix of confusion and skepticism. Lucas, sitting beside her, looked at her with an encouraging expression, his gaze steady, promising. I mean," she stuttered, trying to ground herself. "What I mean to say is that I've been hiding parts of myself." Her mother shifted, her body language open, yet there was an undeniable tension in her stance, the anticipation contagious. With a gentle nod from Lucas, she pressed on. "I don't want to pretend anymore," Sarah admitted, each word feeling like a small piece of a heavy weight lifting off her chest. "I want you all to know that I am confident. And creative. And I have dreams." "What kind of dreams?" Her brother chimed in, his tone softer this time, perhaps a hint of curiosity creeping into his voice. "I want to be a designer. Fashion, maybe, or even interior," she replied, feeling the heat of vulnerability flooding her cheeks. "I've been sketching ideas forever." "Wow," Lucas interjected, genuine enthusiasm lighting up his eyes. "That's amazing. You should be proud of that." A flicker of surprise crossed her brother's face, perhaps even admiration at the passion that shone through her words. She could see the pieces slowly shifting into place. "I didn't know you had any of that in you," her brother said, softly this time. "I thought you were just Sarah." "It's always been there," she replied, her heart tightening. "But it felt easier to hide. I didn't want to disappoint anyone." "Why would you disappoint us?" her mother asked, the concern lifting off her shoulders a bit. "We want you to be happy. We didn't know." The conversation crackled back to life, fragments of laughter interspersed with questions that had the weight of discovery. Lucas leaned in, sharing more of his own journey as a mechanic, his pride obvious with every word. I had to work hard to get here, too. Lots of folks doubted me because of my background. But passion drives everything. Sarah felt a pang of kinship with him, the threads of their stories weaving together in unexpected ways. Connecting through their dreams felt easier than the trepidation that had filled the room just moments ago. But just then, her father, who had been silent, looked up, his expression inscrutable. "Hold on," he interrupted. "How do you really plan on doing this? Fashion? Interior design? It's not just a hobby, is it? What if it doesn't work out?" That palpable tension returned, poised to swallow them whole again. Every gaze snapped back toward her, uncertainty crawling back into the fragile bubble they had created. I don't have all the answers," Sarah stammered, a wave of panic washing over her. "Does anyone?" Lucas stepped in, his voice firm and steady. "Chasing your passion is about taking that leap, no matter how uncertain it seems." Sarah stole a glance at her brother, his jaw softened. Maybe he was starting to understand. But as her father crossed his arms, his skepticism lingered in the air, thick and unresolved. Sarah weighed their reactions in her heart, knowing the stakes were high. This was more than just dinner, this was the shifting foundation of everything they had built as a family. "I just need you all to support me," she said finally, her voice trembling but fierce. "Chasing dreams isn't easy, but doing it alone is even harder." There was a moment of stillness. A space where the air felt electric again, charged with emotions yet unspoken. And then the door creaked open, a gust of wind blowing through the stillness, sweeping in a new breath of uncertainty, and with it, the sound of something else's footsteps. "Who is there?" her mother called, rising to see. What would this unexpected arrival mean for their dinner, their progress, and the revelations that had just begun to unfold? The door swung open fully to reveal an elderly woman with a warm smile that broke through the tension like sunshine after a storm. It was Lucas's grandmother, who had been visiting nearby. The unexpected presence brought with it a sense of comfort. "Forgive the intrusion." She beamed, her voice like honey. "I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by to see my dear grandson. Hope I'm not interrupting anything." Sarah's heart swelled with relief. Sometimes, unexpected guests could shake up the atmosphere, and right now, the warmth radiating from the woman felt like a gift. "Not at all, Grandma," Lucas replied, shooting Sarah a reassuring smile. "Come on in. We could use a fresh perspective." As she entered, the table buzzed with gentle laughter, the unexpected visit softening the edges of their earlier confrontation. "Ah, I see you've got company," she said, her gaze shifting from one individual to another with interest. "Are these new friends?" Lucas paused. "More like family. We're having dinner together." The flicker of surprise danced across the elderly woman's eyes as she glanced from Lucas to Sarah. "Well, that's lovely. Tell me, dear," she turned toward Sarah. "What dreams are you chasing?" Caught off guard but fueled by enthusiasm, Sarah took a deep breath. "I want to be a designer, Grandma. I've been sketching and dreaming of fashion and interiors." The elderly woman's face lit up as if she'd just been given a precious treasure. "Oh, that's wonderful. I've always believed fashion is about expressing one's heart, just like art. You should absolutely chase it, dear." Sarah couldn't help but smile, her confidence blossoming in the warmth of this little unforeseen moment. "Do you think it's possible for her to make a career out of it?" Sarah's father interjected, his eyebrows raised, a twinge of skepticism creeping back into his voice. "Well, certainly," Grandma replied with a twinkle in her eye. "In my day, everyone told me I couldn't be an artist either, but I followed my passion anyway. Look where it got me." The room was silent for a moment, each family member processing her words. In her simple yet powerful statement lay an affirmation of hope that rippled through them. It was reminiscent of the vibe that had flowed during the start of dinner. "I see you've got that fire in you," Grandma continued, directing her gaze fully at Sarah. "You never lose that. Keep nurturing it, dear. Tension seemed to break like a wave washing over the shore. Despite the initial challenges they faced, there was an inherent warmth and connection encircling their presence. The hour moved on, laughter filling the dining room as they shared candid stories over a delicious meal. Lucas's grandmother soaked in the atmosphere, reveling in Lucas's delight, which brought forth smiles from everyone. They reminisced about childhood dreams, family values, and the winding paths of their journeys. Eventually, even Sarah's father spoke up. "You know, maybe I was too harsh earlier," he admitted, the weight of his words revealing their intent. "I just want to ensure you all take care of yourselves." A shared understanding blossomed, and Sarah seized the moment. "I understand that, Dad. But I need to find my own way. Just like you did." Grandma chimed in, "And remember, it's love that truly pulls us together. Love, dear, is what makes us brave enough to dream." As the dinner wound down, Sarah felt lighter. There had been a seismic shift. Those moments spent sharing their truths had forged a new connection, one that felt unshakable. But the true test lay ahead. One last moment of clarity awaited her. "Can you stay a bit longer, Lucas?" Sarah asked nervously, glancing between him and Grandma. Lucas glanced at his grandmother, who nodded enthusiastically. "Don't you dare let me interrupt something special," she said with a wink. Taking a deep breath, Sarah ushered Lucas out to the patio where the last remnants of daylight softened the edges, the sky still painted in twilight hues. "Tonight felt different," she began nervously. "But there's something else I need to tell you, something important." He stepped closer, concern marking his features. "What's on your mind?" The breeze wrapped around them as she searched his gaze for strength. "I'm scared but ready to embrace everything I want, but I want you to be a part of that." His smile grew brighter, illuminating the dusk. "You don't have to be scared. I'm here, always. And whatever happens next, we face it together." The connection expanded, solidifying her resolve like steel. "I want us to explore this new journey together. No matter what challenges we hit, I think we can make it." Lucas nodded slowly. "You're the strongest person I know, Sarah. Just promise me one thing." "Yes. No matter how it goes, don't ever stop being yourself." Tears glimmered in her eyes. "I won't. I promise." Together, they stood on that patio, looking out into the horizon filled with stars waiting to be discovered. The path ahead was still bold and winding, yet she felt something new, a spark, a reason to believe. They were ready for this journey, whatever lay ahead. The heartbeats of love and hope resonated between them, for they were two daisies growing under the same sun. "Together?" she whispered, reaching for his hand. "Always," he affirmed, his voice steady, a promise made real in the night. As they held hands, the world around them seemed to glow with possibility, turning uncertainty into profound hope. And as they stepped into a future woven with dreams, love, and the courage to be authentically themselves, they knew that they could face anything. This was just the beginning of their story, one filled with love, resilience, and an unwavering bond that would carry them through any storm. And as the stars shone brighter, illuminating their new path ahead, they stepped forward, ready to embrace a life unparalleled, one intertwined journey at a time. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next amazing stories we have in store. Leave a like to fuel the algorithm and share this heartwarming transformation with more people. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you. And share instantly this video with 5 friends who need a dose of inspiration. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the love. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel.